Haaretz has an explosive new report out indicating that top defense officials in Israel actually held urgent consultations the night before October 7th about a possible Hamas attack. However, no one in the IDF notified the organizers of the Nova Music Festival to let them know about the potential threat, the potential risks. And as a result, Hamas carried out those atrocities the day after on October 7th, killing hundreds of people in that music festival alone. So the Gaza Division's Northern Brigade was responsible for the security in that area of Israel. Its commanders were aware of these warnings about a potential terrorist attack being carried out by Hamas, but no one in the IDF notified the thousands of partygoers or the party's organizers about their concerns or demanded that the event be shut down. And keep in mind, the music festival is very close to the border with the Gaza Strip, which is what made the situation even riskier. And the result was 360 festival attendees getting murdered and also at least 40 being taken as hostages to the Gaza Strip. Now, the intelligence was based on several sources that pointed to worrisome preparations on the other side of the border. The later warning had been preceded by other intelligence that aroused concerns among officials, according to Haaretz. The findings were worrying enough that top defense officials held 2 urgent consultations on Friday night in an effort to determine whether the intelligence they had in hand pointed to plans by Hamas to infiltrate Israeli territory. Ultimately, they did nothing with that intelligence, clearly, because again, Hamas ended up carrying out these atrocities the next day. And what's even more shocking about this report is keep in mind that the majority of the IDF soldiers were actually near the West Bank, helping to protect the illegal settlements that were built by the Israeli settlers. That's why it took them hours upon hours to even respond to Hamas's atrocities. And by the way, and we're giving them weapons, right? Like we're giving these incredibly incompetent people who couldn't even do their jobs to protect their own people, we're giving them 2,000-pound bombs. That's what we're doing. We are rewarding their incompetence by giving them 2,000-pound bombs to drop on residential buildings, on hospitals, on refugee camps, on mosques, on churches. It's insane, it's absolutely insane.
To give you context on the 2,000-pound bombs, even with all the civilians that America killed in Iraq and the incredibly heavy fighting, if you might remember, in some of those cities, we never dropped a bomb that was larger than 500 pounds.
That's right.
And Israel is dropping bombs that are 4 times that size. When before they even go to fight, they're just, and they've shown no evidence that they've even gotten any Hamas fighters. They're in the tunnels. Okay, so killing civilians at a grotesque rate. New York Times did a great article about how this is killing civilians at a greater rate than any conflict in our lifetime. So when you kill civilians on purpose, that's called terrorism. I know, you can't say it about Israel. You could only say it about poor people who are occupied and have no power at all.
Well, okay, as long as Israel is A, our ally, and B, just keeps repeating over and over again, we're not targeting civilians. That's all they have to say. We're not targeting civilians.
Yeah.
It's just that depending on which numbers you believe, it's just that the civilian death toll is somewhere around 60 to 90%. But we're not targeting the civilians.
And that's according to IDF numbers.
Yes.
Okay, if you take numbers in the real world, they haven't shown any Hamas fighters that have been killed. I'm sure there's some in there. I'm not saying that there aren't any, but they haven't shown any evidence of any Hamas fighters.
And by the way, depending on which interview you're listening to and which representative from Israel is in that interview, the numbers of Hamas militants that have been killed changes. One of them, in a conversation with Piers Morgan, said, no, we've taken out 2,000 Hamas militants. Another conversation consisted of an Israeli official saying, no, it's 5,000. We got 5,000.
Yeah. Okay, it's all lies, all 100% lies. I don't believe a word that any Israeli official says. Pure propaganda. oh, I killed all those civilians, but oh yeah, maybe 2,000, 5,000. I would just, who cares? Let's make up numbers. Americans will believe anything we say. We own their government anyway. So I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to say things that are super obvious. Okay, and by the way, Israel is not the only one. I don't want people getting the wrong idea. The Saudis own us too. There's a ton of companies. We legalize bribery. Any country can come by. All right, but I want to go to the heart of the story. So the IDF, your main job is to protect Israeli citizens. Those poor people at the concert got butchered by Hamas. No, you were too busy protecting settlers who are murdering Palestinians and stealing their land. Netanyahu, your main job as prime minister is to protect Israeli civilians. You were too busy helping the settlers do their terrorism, and protecting yourself from corruption charges. So you didn't do your core job of protecting those poor innocent Israeli civilians. Didn't care, but they did get what they wanted. The right-wing government of Israel, and remember, it's not all Israelis. And now tons of people agree Netanyahu's got to go. Unfortunately, he hasn't gone, and they're not gonna make him go, but they agree that he should go, okay? So Israel's not one monolith, and certainly their civilians are not, okay? But at the end of the day, what did the right-wing government of Israel and the IDF get? They got to now level Gaza, which is what they always wanted to do, reoccupy Gaza, which is what they're saying they're gonna do next. And meanwhile, a two-state solution is even further away. And they're like, yes, we get to occupy for longer. Why? What's their excuse? Hamas has not been eradicated. Now we have to eradicate Hamas. Every single person who was in Hamas, who we don't know who they are, has to raise their hand and say, I am Hamas, come kill me, I surrender.
Yeah,
that's likely. Yeah.
They're reproducing Hamas. That is what they're doing right now as we speak. Okay, look, it's basic human psychology. If you witnessed your entire family get wiped out, that is not only a traumatizing situation, that is a radicalizing situation. Look, I'm gonna say it as an American, okay, who doesn't have a terrorist bone in my body. But if any government killed every member of my family, I would be an extremist.
Yeah, of course.
I'd be out for blood.
Guys, who are we kidding?
Because I love my family. My family's the only reason to be alive. Most people feel that way. This isn't, look, it's not freaking rocket science, guys. It's really not.
Yeah, so look, guys, it's again, more things you're not supposed to say. If Texas was occupied, everyone in half of Texas would fight back with what? Their guns, right? Right now, most right-wingers in Texas going, hell yeah. Imagine they come in, they do what Israel just did, the IDF just did to the men in Gaza, where they strip you down naked. They say, oh, right-wingers in Texas, come here, you're occupied now. Strip down into your underwear, and then we're gonna take pictures of you and make fun of you and call you terrorists. What would be the first thing you did when you got back home? You'd grab your gun, right? Tell me you wouldn't, Texas, tell me you wouldn't. And then you'd go and try to make sure that you got freedom, right? And then we'd call you all terrorists. They go, terrorists, terrorists. And then they kill your daughter, and they kill your grandfather. And then you go, okay, well, I'm gonna fight back. Terrorist, terrorist. Okay, yeah, but okay, fine, don't kill civilians, totally agree. And then how about when Israel kills civilians at 10 times the rate? Nope, not terrorist, not terrorist. Beautiful democracy, ally, flourishing in the Middle East. These are all obvious, preposterous lies. I'm just sick of having to navigate what you're allowed to say and not allowed to say when we have one of the most monstrous governments right now on earth, constantly imprisoning these Palestinians and saying we're never going to let them go. Now the new logic is, well, since they did this attack, we're gonna have to occupy them for longer. Because then if we did a two-state solution now, well, then it would be rewarding Hamas. So we don't want to reward Hamas and we want to eradicate them. So that'll probably take another 20 years and we'll continue to occupy and take more land and put more settlers on it. Those religious maniacal zealots who think that God told them, oh, kill the Muslims. Oh, and take their land. Oh yeah, we should listen to those settlers? Freaking lunatics. Freaking lunatics. I'm not interested in those settlers. Two-state solution. Last thing, this is super important. Guys, Israel's whole point, and the point of the Zionists were, and I don't say that in a negative light, was actually to give Jews across the world that had been persecuted a safe haven. There's actually a lot of logic to that, right? Now I know there's the inherent problem of, okay, but where do you put it? And how about the people that are living there? I understand that. But there was an understandable need to give Jews a safe haven somewhere in the world. But as long as you have the occupation, you're never going to be safe. They're always going to want their freedom. You think they're just going to surrender to you and say, oh, that's okay, just keep us as your dogs for the next 200 years? No, they're going to fight back like every other human being would, like you would. Would you, if you're an Israeli, would you accept being occupied by the Palestinians for the rest of your life? No, you'd fight back and we'd help you fight back. So as long as you keep doing the occupation, ironically, Israel will never be safe. And the whole point of the country was to be a safe haven. For God's sake, for decency, humanity, and your own safety, end the occupation. It is not complicated. The occupation is a core evil. It is an evil, and it must be ended. And you can't say, oh, I'm doing an incredibly evil act, but I'm lovely, I'm a democracy, I'm an ally, let me keep killing Palestinians. No.
Thanks for watching. If you become a member, you get to watch all this ad-free, except for, of course, this ad. Still, hit the join button below.